I never imagined that helping my own father would be the biggest mistake of my life. It all started 3 years ago when my dad called me one evening out of the blue. He sounded nervous, desperate even, which was strange for him. My dad has always been the prideful type, the kind of man who'd rather go broke than ask for help. But that night he said, "Son, I need you to come home. It's urgent." At first I thought something terrible had happened, maybe his health or something to do with my stepmother Lisa. But when I got there, the truth hit harder than I expected. He was sitting at the dining table with stacks of letters, overdue notices, mortgage warnings, and foreclosure threats. The house I grew up in, the house he and Mom bought before she passed, was about to be taken by the bank. I felt sick. That house was the last real piece of Mom we had left. "Dad, what happened?" I asked, flipping through the papers. He sighed heavily. "Lisa and I took out a second mortgage. Business went bad and, well, the bills piled up. We thought we could fix it before it got this bad." By we, he really meant Lisa. She had convinced him to invest in some shady real estate deal that completely tanked. The bank gave them 60 days to pay off $200,000 or lose the house. I didn't even think twice. I had some savings from selling my startup and a decent job in the city. It wasn't pocket change, but I could afford it if I tightened my budget for a while. That house meant more to me than anything. I said, "I'll cover it." Dad looked at me like he didn't hear right. "You'd do that?" "Yeah," I said. "But we'll make it official. I'll pay off the loan, and the deed gets transferred to my name. You two can live here as long as you want. I just want to make sure the house stays in the family." He hesitated, then nodded. "Of course. You're a good son." We went to the bank, cleared the debt, and updated the documents. Everything seemed fine. For a while, things were peaceful again. I visited on weekends, fixed things around the property, and even helped with renovations. Then Lisa started acting strange. She'd make snide comments like, "You must feel proud owning your parents' house," or "Don't get too comfortable. This is still your father's home." At first, I ignored it. I knew she'd never liked me much. She always thought I was too close to Dad before she came into the picture. But things got worse. A few months later, I came over unannounced and found her hosting some kind of garden party. There were strangers everywhere, laughing, drinking, and one of them asked me, "Oh, are you the realtor for this property?" I froze. "Realtor?" He nodded. "Yeah, Lisa said they're planning to sell it soon." I couldn't believe it. I found Dad inside and confronted him. He looked uncomfortable. "She's just talking, son. Don't worry about it." But something didn't sit right. I checked county property records later that week and saw that he had filed a transfer of ownership request, removing my name and reinstating his. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. I immediately confronted him again. "Dad, what the hell is this? I paid the full mortgage. Why would you try to remove me from the deed?" He rubbed his temples. "Lisa said it would be better for inheritance reasons. You'll get it when I'm gone." My voice cracked. "That's not the deal we made. I didn't pay $200,000 to hope you keep your word someday." He got defensive. "Don't talk to me like that. I'm still your father." That was the last real conversation we had for a while. I stopped visiting, stopped calling. I needed distance. It broke me, not because of the money, but because he betrayed the trust between us. Fast forward about a year. I get a call from my cousin, who still lives near my hometown. He says, "Hey, I just heard your dad's updating his will. Lisa's kids are listed as beneficiaries. Are you not in it?" I laughed bitterly. Of course not. But curiosity got the better of me. So I called the lawyer who handled our house paperwork before. He wouldn't tell me details, but he said, "Let's just say things have changed significantly in the will." That confirmed it. Dad had left everything, including the house I paid for, to Lisa and her 2 sons. I was furious. I didn't want revenge at first. I just wanted to understand how he could justify it. So I drove down to their house one last time. When I walked in, Lisa gave me that smug smile. "Oh, look, it's the investor." I ignored her. "Dad, we need to talk. I know about the will." He didn't even look guilty. I did what I thought was fair. Lisa's been by my side for years. You're doing fine on your own. You don't need the house. I felt something inside me snap. You mean the house I saved? The one you were days away from losing? He stood up, red-faced. You think that gives you the right to take everything? You're selfish. I just stared at him in disbelief. Selfish? I gave you $200,000? I didn't take, I saved. Lisa chuckled under her breath. That was the last straw. I left without another word. But I wasn't done. See, when I paid off the mortgage, I had everything documented. Every bank transaction, every signed paper. And while he did file to remove my name later, the transfer had a fatal flaw. My notarized consent was missing. That meant it was never legally valid. In other words, the house was still mine. I called a real estate attorney, explained the situation, and within 2 weeks, we had proof. My ownership was still 100% intact. Dad and Lisa had been living in my house for nearly a year without realizing it. The lawyer asked, "Do you want to evict them?" At first, I hesitated. It felt cruel. It was my childhood home. But after everything they'd done, I realized they'd never hesitate to do the same to me. So I said, yes. We filed the eviction notice. 2 weeks later, I got a frantic call. It was Dad. "Son, what is this letter? Lisa says we're getting kicked out." I kept my voice calm. "That's right. The property is still legally under my name. You tried to take me off the deed illegally. I'm just taking back what's mine." He started shouting, "You can't do this. This is my house." I took a deep breath. "No, Dad, it was your house. You made it clear I wasn't part of this family anymore. Now you get to live with that choice." Then he said something that made me both angry and sad. "Please, son. I don't have anywhere else to go." For a brief moment, I almost gave in. But then I remembered how easily he'd erased me. How he let Lisa humiliate me. How he changed the will behind my back. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "You should have thought of that before you betrayed me." And I hung up. A month later, they were gone. The house sat empty for a while. When I finally went back, it was heartbreaking. The garden was overgrown. The walls were stained with years of neglect, and most of Mom's old photos were gone. But I didn't cry. Instead, I started fixing it. Every nail, every brush of paint felt like reclaiming a part of myself that I'd lost. A few months later, I sold the house. Not because I needed the money, but because I needed closure. I used part of the money to open a scholarship fund in Mom's name, for single parents struggling to keep their homes. As for Dad and Lisa, they moved into a small rental apartment in another town. I heard from a relative that Lisa's sons cut contact with them after the eviction. Apparently they didn't want to deal with family drama. Poetic justice, I guess. One day I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note. I was wrong. I let my pride destroy everything. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope you find peace. Love, Dad. I sat there for a long time, reading that letter over and over. For the first time in years, I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Just a quiet sort of acceptance. He made his choices. I made mine. Sometimes doing the right thing doesn't mean being kind. It means standing up for yourself when no one else will. I never wanted revenge. I wanted respect. But when someone mistakes your kindness for weakness, sometimes the only way to earn that respect is to make them panic. And trust me, when that eviction notice hit his doorstep, he finally did.